Are we gonna get one tonight, boys?
For this podcast, do Nozzle Tov, and you can get 20% off your order. So make sure you're visiting the energy drink or Brotherhood Buffs, and I'll take you to the link for the energy drink. Put in Nozzle Tov, get that 20% off. What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Goldstein, Stickers of the C.A.N Report, Nozzle Tov, everybody. I have a repeat guest, Robert. You know what? I'm going to do it again. Roberto Ramirez from Florida, just a kid from Miami, back on the C.A.N Report. My man, thank you for being on the program.
Always an honor. Always stoked to talk to you, brother, and looking for excuses to get on here with my buddies and talk shop. It's a blast. It's a privilege and an honor.
Let's go. So real quick, sponsor, drop Engine House Designs, Cody Hill out of Tennessee, working fireman and does his engine house designs. He also has a podcast called The Engine House. You can check that out as well. Love my man. He's a solid dude. Check out what he's got going on, please. Engine House Designs, igniting the pride. With that being said, we're going to jump into it. My man, Robert Ramirez, who are you, please? Because some people might not know who you are. So let them know.
A lot of people don't know what. It's an honor to be here again, man. Rob Ramirez, out of South Florida. Again, just a kid from Miami, born and raised, and stoked to be a student of the fire service. Been on the job now since 2001. Nearing 25 years, and it's been a roller coaster. I never want to do different. Did a career an organization in Broward County, Florida, just outside Fort Lauderdale. Spent the last 23 and change there, and just recently went to Palm Beach to build a fire department in the town of Jupiter. And it's been a freaking blast, something I never saw myself doing, and I'm super stoked to be a part of it. I'm also the self-proclaimed Mayday Mindset guy. Years ago, I started teaching Mayday and firefighter survival stuff, as well as some self-rescue techniques, and it grew legs, and fire service wanted more of it. And how awesome is it to be able to get out there and meet guys like you and like-minded brothers and sisters across the country and even across the world these days, and get to talk shop with them. It's been a home run, and I wouldn't change a thing, like I said before. Awesome.
I love it, dude. I love every time we meet, whether it's on here or in person, it's always a joy, dude. The energy that you bring, and man, the just a solid person that you are, dude. You're just who you are. And that's one of the biggest things I love about you, is that you are just Rob Ramirez, man, who just loves doing exactly what you said. You love hanging with like-minded individuals and giving something back. You really do better the fire service. And I'm so honored. And it's a pleasure for you to be here. So you mentioned now you've gone to a new department, and real quick, you helped to build that from the ground up with other like-minded individuals, with a A-plus stellar team. What's that like, going to actually building firehouses and building fire trucks and building a whole new department? That's a whole different world. What is that like?
So first and foremost, man, it's been like completely organic. I never had that in the playbook. It wasn't part of the plans. It wasn't a career goal. It's just not something that happens in a lot of places, especially in South Florida. We're very urban, very metro, very thick with population. And all the fire departments around here are pretty old. They don't just pop up overnight. It just was a perfect time, perfect window in my career, perfect people involved, 45 minutes from home, and the opportunity to like put your money where your mouth is. All these years and all these opportunities we've had to talk shop and pop a cold one and talk at the bar about how cool would it be if we all got to work together. Imagine this crew, imagine this firehouse, imagine these people. And I'm getting to do it with some of my best friends. And like you said before, they're rock stars. Every day I'm working with these guys, it's an absolute pleasure. Every conversation, Goldie, is a freaking classroom.
That's so cool, because you are, dude. You're working with your friends, like legit, like just what you just said. Like, wouldn't it be cool if we all worked in the same department together? And you're literally doing that. You have some of your closest friends working with you in that environment, and man, you can't beat that.
Yeah, my boss is Stephen Shaw. He has his podcast on fire engineering, perspectives on leadership. He's been on there for a long time. He's been a host on that. He's heavily involved with the fire engineering world at FDIC. He's got his classes and whatnot. The other deputy, also Mike Stefano, he does another podcast. Like, there's been days that I've been a guest on a podcast, walked out of my office, and my two bosses were recording a podcast with like Scott Thompson and Candace Ashby, and I'm like, what is happening, dude? Where do I work? It's surreal. And not only that, forget the podcast stuff, right? Because we do this and it's great. It's a medium to get information out. And let's be real. We enjoy doing this. We enjoy talking shop. And it's a selfish, you know, component, because we love talking to each other and talking shop. And any opportunity we get to have the message put out there, we take it because we care, and you can't fake passion. But the big picture here is that I'm working with the guys that get it, dude, and their heart is in the right place. And everything they've done and said since day one, I've been there 14 months now, and for 14 months straight, they've been the biggest advocate for the men and women that are going to join our organization, and the citizens that are going to benefit from the fruits of their labor. And the message, they've stayed on message, both action and words, man. They match. It's been a home run. It's been awesome.
I love it. And I love how I follow your department on the social medias, and they do a really good job of really promoting themselves and who they are and what they're doing. And they're not afraid. It's interesting to see, because some departments are really afraid of social media. And you guys are out there doing it, doing, fire prevention awareness, and honestly, just awareness of what you guys are doing and who you are, and that the town's going to be protected. And this is the people that are serving your community. And you guys are very open about that.
We're proud of what we're doing. We're very proud of our work, man. We put in countless hours. And all credit goes to our CR department. We have a staff that works there that's out of control with social media. These guys are as good as anybody in the town with, as far as putting information and doing their jobs. And they go out of the way to like celebrate us and put information out there and let the people know that they have their fire department cares, and we're ready to serve and provide the world-class operation and readiness. It shouldn't, in 2026, it's not something departments should shy away from anymore. It shouldn't be a secret, man. We got to save blue collar. And the kids ain't flocking to come work for the fire department anymore. And there's something that has to be said for that. And social media might be the medium that gets these people back in line to put in job applications.
Man, you've nailed it, dude. Because it's been a talk a lot for many departments around the American Fire Service about using social media for good, not just because you can't just post stagnant photos and say, come join us. That doesn't necessarily work all the time. It's helpful to grab some attention, but when you start showing people what you're doing and literally just intermittently showing what's on the trucks, as soon as you see them rolling out and taking a stretcher off or taking a monitor off, those paramedics maybe they're watching going, oh man, I see that monitor right there. That's cool. That's a brand new whatever. I want to use that. I want to put my hands on that. Oh, I see they got that new stretcher, or, the truck rolls up at their doors. Oh man, they got new whatever hose. They got new whatever nozzles. I want to be there. That's the stuff that people see and they start grabbing their attention. And it's not about making, because you see other things, like there's silly reels, there's dancing, and you start taking away some of that. And then it just becomes a comedy show. But if you're showing like legit, this is what our department is. I'm going to mention Stockton. Stockton is, right? They're badass in how they recruit, and when they're using those videos from their calls and saying, you want to join something badass, check this out. And you just play that video and you're like, yep, that's where I want to be, because that is right there. That's the fire department that gets it. But they're using their calls and they're using their experiences to show others, like, this is who we are. You either love it or hate it, but this is what we're going to be. And there's no sugarcoating it.
They're proud of their identity, man. And that alone makes people want to work. They moves the needle for these young guys and girls. They want to work somewhere that is part of themselves. They want to identify with someone who's proud of who they are. And they're not going to pick up the newspaper and read the classifieds. So you better get out there in the social media world and make it cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, you have to constantly change with the times. It's a buyer's market, and now people expect us to come to them to say, hey, come work for us. It's not the same anymore. People are going to be beating down on our door to come work for us anymore. It's just, there's other avenues out there. And we've talked about it before, that at the same time we do ourselves a disservice because we talk about all the negative things that go on in the fire service. And then what kid's going to want to join when we talk about heart attacks and PTSD and cancer and suicide and, seeing the most tragic things in your life, and, you got to keep going no matter what. And that's not what every kid wants to hear, because we want the kids, we want the 18-year-olds, we want the young bodies to come on in. But if all we do is talk about the negative stuff, I'm not saying sugarcoat it and hide it, but that's all you talk about, then who's really going to want to be a part of that?
Celebrate the wins, man. You have to celebrate the wins. The competition out there is crazy. These kids are looking at influencers on social media every day,
Hmm.
driving Bentleys and playing rap music, and they never went to school. They're sitting at home cutting reels and making videos and creating content and living in mansions. So the fire service has to keep up with the times. You can go make $50,000 a year anywhere these days. You can trip over $50,000 in today's market. And so the fire service is not going to bring people in based on salary and benefits anymore. You have to remind these kids that we're still doing something that matters. It's a vocation that means something, and the fire service traditions that are there in place. It's okay for us to celebrate those wins and make it cool, because you and I know that it's cool. When you and I got on this job, you know how hard it was, and whether if you didn't have no firefighter, your chances of getting on the fire department were really really tough because you had no exposure to it. You had no idea what you were getting into. And now we're bringing the fire service to these kids at their social media, at their computer, on their phones, on their fingertips. So if they don't have a firefighter influence in their lives, we're going to provide it for them.
Correct. And then that's how they find it is here, because a lot of times they don't know where to look. And boom, as
Hmm.
soon as they're scrolling, that comes up. They go, oh, wait a minute. That looks like something I might be into, because social media, man, it's right at the palm of their hands. And this is a noble profession. And we want people to know how much we care about it and how much we love it. And not everyone can do it. And it's, if you're straightforward with that, that's what's great too. Like the generation, like they don't want to be lied to. Be upfront and honest. And if you tell them that this is hard work and you got to work hard to get it, those who want to work hard and get it are going to do it. And those are the people we want. So that's why you got to be upfront and honest. Again, this generation wants to work. We just have to show them how cool this really can be.
Make firefighting cool again, brother, on social
There you
media. Let's go.
Let's go, man. So, you just got back from Germany.
Yes, sir.
And you did some training over there, and man, you've had a busy couple of months, man. You were at FDIC. You did some other trainings after that, and then you went like right to FDIC. I mean, right to Germany. We're gonna talk about FDIC in a little bit, but I really want to hit on Germany because that's so interesting to me. Because there's a lot of people. It wasn't just you. You went with like a whole group of heavy hitters and provided training over there. So tell me a bit about that.
So Germany is freaking awesome, dude. Um, that was my third trip back, right? Third trip back over there with the same training facility, IFRT, Stefan Foyt and his family, Melanie and the kids, Zoe and Sam. They're an amazing family. They put on this conference every 2 years. And yes, like you said before, I got to go back again. It's a privilege every time, man. Um, they're really into the fire service over there. So what we've seen over the last couple years, going back there and over the last 3 years now, it's been their development and their building construction is changing, and it's becoming more suburban Americanized, lightweight construction, whatnot. The longer that they've been in a post-war era, post-war construction has started to really become common as population density has increased. People are moving out to the burbs and out of the main cities, and they're not building bomb-proof bunkers anymore. So fire behavior changes, tactics have to change, just like in the United States. Our you see our tactics change, follow fire behavior, follow building construction. Every dot connects to each other, and they're getting ahead of it. To their credit, IFRT and the folks there are really getting ahead of it, and they have been for the last 6 years, and making sure that their tactics and strategies meet the changing, building construction. Where we as American, quote unquote cowboy firefighters, talk about getting in, they're getting after, doing aggressive searches, aggressive stretches, hose advancements, hitting the fire, pushing down the hallways, cooling the environment, getting to our victims, putting water between the victims and us, and going through windows and cutting holes in roofs. All these things that we are very proud of because we understand the way that it works. They've seen for traditionally for years as us taking unnecessary risk,
Mm,
but now they're noticing that their tactics are no longer applicable to the more common building construction that's been taking place over there.
hmm,
So they bring us out there. We bring what we learned back home. I'm honored to be a small part of a really cool cadre. Andy Stars and Thomas Anderson, the guys from Insight. And this year we had RJ from Capital go out there with his boy Trevor, and Frederick's guys. Those guys are jamming up. They were doing truck work. Rob Ramirez and Adam from friggin' Brothers in Battle, Cody Trust Trail, myself and Timmy Gleason from Miami. It's been a blast, dude. Just being part of that group has been amazing, and getting out there. It's a very family oriented event. They make sure they take us out and around the entire friggin' south and central part of the country, everywhere we go, from Frankfurt to Munich to all over Stuttgart. Fire stations galore. They treat us like family. The hospitality it's times 1,000, and the students are so damn passionate, dude. It actually hurts every time we leave there. And if they ever watch this, they'll be able to say that I'm not lying and this is the truth. I'm not exaggerating. Every year that I go there, I tell them the same thing over and over and over again. I refuse to call this a fire conference because it will ruin all other fire conferences for me. Okay? It
Gotcha.
is legit its own thing. It is a family event that just happens to have a big, ginormous fire conference right smack dab in the middle of it, because they do treat you like family, and there isn't a minute that they don't dedicate to you, whether you're teaching or not. It's pretty special.
That is amazing. And what did you teach? I mean, obviously it's a simple question because I know the answer, but what did you teach? What did you deliver there?
So I delivered a firefighter rescue and self-rescue techniques, right? Coupled that with some VARJ and the Capital guys, truck work. We shared a track. Not, so the students went to him one day, they went to me the next day, and then we put them together on the third day. And we married Chuck with Rid. It seemed appropriate, and it worked out really, really well. Um, I use the information that I have available from the States. And then over the last couple of years, I've gotten into like global information. Like they have their own form of data collection. For lack of better terms, it's referred to as like their NIOSH, right? They
Okay.
have their own form of European NIOSH. And the problem and the differences are not really a problem, more of a difference. Like our NIOSH is very incident and specific to an incident level investigation. So a fire department in the southeastern part of the United States, staffed like this, at this incident, this type of construction, a firefighter of this age, a company of this size got jammed up doing X, Y, or Z. They don't do that. They just collect the data in a more global picture and they report it as a light on duty death, but they never really dive deep into the investigation of it. So they don't understand really what went wrong and what they can do to prevent it from happening again. And I every time I go there, I focus on that and I connect the dots for them. So I break down their studies after we translate them, and then I use the information that I have available to them to create relatability. If I just show up there and I tell them, hey, a bunch of guys in Texas died last year, God forbid, it really doesn't transfer over to Germany. So I got to make sure that I use their local information to show them that these things are happening. They're just not getting the full picture. And once I find out how it happened, then I can give them the information that I have available that shows how we can prevent that and how we can identify that and what we can do to make that a more predictable incident rather than catching them off guard. And it's been awesome. They've been super receptive, bro.
So, I don't know if this is a stupid question, but do they
Oh, no
have
stupid question.
do they have RIT? What is their procedures for things like that? Do they know firefighter survival? I mean, it's just so foreign to me because I've never seen how they operate. So do they have those kind of procedures in place? Like, do they have a unified command system, and do they utilize like RIT teams and practice down firefighter scenarios?
They do and they don't. So RIT, the way that we practice it, like, packaging and air emergencies and low pressure, high pressure, bottle fills and whatnot is not a part of their work. That's not a European thing. I've dealt with the firefighters in Spain as well, outside of Germany. It's not a thing that they do. It's not even in their mindset. They're very safety and risk averse um, fire service. So they overstaff the command piece of the incident with people responsible for everything. So they'll have an air guy with an assistant air guy, with a scribe, with a radio communicator just for air management
Mm,
outside the building, right?
wow.
And it gets beat into their brains. So air issues they have to go through like 4 levels of security before somebody goes low on air and they pull them out.
Wow.
It's not like one incident commander and a bunch of dudes searching the shit out of a house trying to
Yeah.
get to this victim. It's 2 dudes constantly checking each other's air and 4 dudes outside reminding them to check their air. Okay,
Okay.
there's a lot of
Wow.
redundancies. I'm not saying that it works. I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I don't want to get kicked out of Germany next time I go. But they're very aware of the good and the bad with their system, right?
No, that makes
It's not
sense.
about it's not about winning or losing. It's about the civilians. What we can do to make it safer for the civilians and incur the greatest amount of risk while still getting our job done safely.
Hmm.
And safely is a tough word in Germany to use, because they want to make it as safe as possible, and they're understanding now that it's not really a thing that they can control. Now, I will tell you this. They've been very receptive to it. So I'll tell you a typical Rob and German firefighter exchange. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and practice a down firefighter drill. When you get to the down firefighter, he's going to be low on air. Why is this? I'm the German firefighter. Why
Why
is
is
this,
this?
Rob? Because he ran out of air. Why did he run out of air? Because he was in there too long. Why was he in there too long? Okay, let's not do that one. He got disoriented. How is this possible? He got disoriented because we were searching the room. Did he not have a partner? He did. Where's his partner? They got separated. How is this possible? Right? So they don't understand that. They lose 5 to 10 firefighters per year. On average, we usually, we're in the 60 to 100, and we understand what the real numbers are as far as like fire ground deaths and whatnot. Like this year, we're somewhere in the 30s, and we've only had 3 actual fire ground deaths. They have the same thing. They have 5 to 10 a year, and all fire ground related as far as I can track. And they have such a ginormous safety system in place that it makes them operationally almost ineffective. And we take more risk because we look to save more. And we're very victim oriented, where they're very safety oriented. I think the best way to put it is their focus has always been on life safety, whereas ours has always been on life saving.
That makes okay. The way you worded that, that makes sense. I get that. And what is it like having to break down this information in different languages, especially German? I know you got a translator, but like sometimes things get lost. So how's that work? How does that feel?
It's a challenge. So the last 3 times I've been there, I've had to, thank God my native language is Spanish. So the Spaniards and we were boys, but they speak the Queen's Spanish, which is same thing as the Queen's English, right? Same but different. So we end up communicating well. And then on the German side, I've had to learn their equipment and the way their measurements, their bars versus PSI, obviously their meters versus feet, all that language. And then in addition to that, like the name of their equipment, they use different names for their equipment. And not only that, like their equipment is also different. Their remote, they don't have a transfill capability on their cylinders. There's no way to charge the cylinder if they're low on air. You can't transfill. They don't have a high pressure hookup. Rip packs are like unheard of anywhere in Europe. Mass swaps are not a thing because of their helmets and their connections and their setups.
Right. Yeah.
Right. It's not something you can just take on and off. Their hoods, the way their hoods are integrated to their system. They do have cool setups for packaging where they come almost already pre-packaged within the layers of their coat and their pants. They have buckles that you have access to from the outside to just pull and package. So just the stuff that we're coming up with now here in the States where they're, a little bit FDIC, like you mentioned earlier, and those guys are like, oh, we have this thing that it's already in our pants and it wraps one leg and you pull it out and you clip it. Dude, they've been doing that for 30 years over there.
No
and
shit.
every manufacturer builds it top and bottom. Right. So when it comes to like again, life safety, they're way ahead of us when it comes to that. Life saving, that's where we can help each other out. And I tell them all the time, man, if we can get your mindset and our mindset and meet somewhere in the middle, we'd be the world's most effective rescue team. Because they do a lot of things right. They do a lot of things right. They really do. And I do learn a lot from them. And they'll laugh if they hear this, but their ground ladder game sucks. And they know why I'm saying that because they have to build their ground ladders on scene. They come in parts. And I joke with them all the time, and I say shit in German, which is Scheiße, and I tell them that their ladders are Scheiße, and they laugh their ass off because they understand what I mean. I'm like, guys, we got to throw ladders. We got to get ladders through these windows. We got to
build ladders first.
They're like, yeah, bro, we got to build it first, bro. So now they're cowboy, and I'm like, I got to do ladder slides, and you can't do ladder slides. We got these damn pegs sticking out of it, and the beams are not connected, and so you can't carry tools, and we have this back and forth. So you take everything off. The most beautiful thing I'll say is, and I'll end it on this, when you remove the language barrier and you remove the fact that you're in a foreign country, these dudes are just like you and I. They're firemen first, and their jokes are like ours, and their humor is like ours, and their actions are like ours, and you watch them interact, and you go to their firehouse, and their passion is just like ours. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of, man. You would have a blast.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Honestly, it's a bucket list for mine. It is one of my goals is to try to make it over there. Honestly, I think it'd be badass to try to do a podcast in Germany and watch all you guys do this stuff together and see how it all works, to document that. And it'd be a lot of fun, man. It'd be pretty sick.
We're going back next year. You talk about it. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, fingers
Manifestation,
crossed
brother.
there. Yeah, that'd be
Manifest.
badass. I told that to my wife when I saw you guys going over there. I'm like, wouldn't it be neat to be able to document that as a podcast, to really just like the things I do here, to bring it over to Europe and see how so to bring it to other people, because we see the pictures, but just to really experience it, I think to bring it back, it'd be really neat to see. And it's cool that you guys get
Beautiful
to do
thing.
that. I love seeing you guys, all of you guys, like when I was seeing all the pictures and videos of you guys making the journey over to Germany. I love seeing the firemanship going global, right? That's what's really neat about that. It's a beautiful thing to see. I'm glad you guys are doing. You're building bridges, and we're all sharing each other's knowledge. You walk away with something, with knowledge from Germany. They walk away with American knowledge and history. And dude, it's just awesome to see, man. It gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling.
It does, and it makes it so much better as an instructor, dude. So much better. When you have to articulate expertise in different languages, it makes you so much better at your primary language
Hmm.
because you understand how you have to translate it to make it make sense. Because you bring credibility. I'm doing air quotes so the people not watching, right? But you have to also like create relatability. And when you learn to create relatability in a foreign country with foreign equipment, with a foreign language, and at the end of the class, you get 20 dudes that come up to you and they tell you, that was awesome. We need this, we need that, we need the other, and they follow up and you're talking for weeks after the class and you're back in the States. It really, really does make you a better instructor, man. I can't thank Stefan and his family more. Like he's the one that makes all this happen. We are just vessels and something that he thought of in Germany, and he's a home run, dude. He comes to the States all the time. But the only reason we're there is because of him.
That's fantastic. I love hearing that, man. That's great. My hat's off to all you guys for doing that. And then now you speaking of training and teaching and bringing it all home, you got to teach for the first time at the big show at FDIC this year, and what an incredible experience to have you, to know you, to see you light up and be so excited to be able to teach at the big show. What was the whole process like? Can you really just give me, like, from start to finish? Can you talk about the submitting the application or for your presentation to literally being there, stepping up on stage?
Dude, I am so like proud of the way that it all happened. I'm not gonna lie here, sitting in a glass house, right? It was very, very hard to sit through 5 years of rejections. No one likes to be rejected, right? But hindsight always being 2020, right? There's a sense of pride. Because I forgot the saying, right? But the saying is something along the lines of like, pride doesn't come from the goals achieved, but from like the way you pursued it. And I really was near my wit's end when it came to FDIC, and I don't want to sound pompous because I know there's guys that put in for more than 5 times. Um, but I was getting a lot of traction in every other part of the fire service except for FDIC,
Hmm.
right? So I understood that I had to like pay my dues per se. So I was okay with that. And then every time that I applied, I got the no, maybe next year, maybe next year, maybe next year. And every time you get a no, it's a full year. You got to sit on
Yeah.
the sidelines, right? And in that year, I'm banging out, articles and books and classes and podcasts, and I'm teaching at every conference that I wanted to teach. It's been a hell of a ride. And then I put in for FDIC and you get another no. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what am I missing? How do I get it? How do I get in? Like, I just want to be a part of the process. And again, it's not because for validation and it's not for any of that. It's because it's an absolute privilege to be a part of that. And I felt not obligated for myself, Mike. I felt obligated for the product. Like I wanted the class to get the platform that I truly believe the class deserved. It wasn't about Rob or Rob's accolades. It wasn't about, not even my guys, Timmy and the guys. It was for the class. I really felt that the class had an opportunity to improve the fire service, right? And to
Hmm.
help somebody out someday, somewhere. And the frustration was there. But once I got there this year, I mean, it was so worth the wait. It was so worth the wait. I really, really, really enjoyed every part of it. And I reminded myself over and over and over, no matter how oversaturating and crazy busy it was. And you know how it was. You don't see the same person twice unless you happen to run into them. Damn near 40,000 people out there in a small area, and you're barely running into people unless you make it to all the events with the same group of dudes, right? But there's another freaking 20,000 dudes that you're not seeing.
Yeah.
Um, it was awesome, man. It was awesome to be a part of. I got to go up there early and do a couple of days of hot training. And that was a home run. And that was like speed dating. You get so many people at the same time. I think we did I don't know, damn near 200 people over 2 days, you
Wow.
know, in hot training. And then we ended up doing the lecture. The lecture was crazy awesome. I don't remember being that nervous in a long time and never feeling that fulfilled after a presentation I've done 1,000 times,
What did
right? It
you
was awesome.
teach for your lecture? What was
It
it?
was so truth be told, and so I'm putting in for the class again like tomorrow, right? Because I haven't even done that. I've been so damn busy, right? So I'm putting in for a different class into tomorrow, but I was gonna change it all up. And again, because of everything I just said the last 3 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I want the OG class that got rejected 5 times to be the
Gotcha.
presentation that I did. So
Gotcha.
I did the OG class with a modern twist, just to give her her seat on that platform that I've been trying to get it to for all these
I love
years.
it. Going back
So
to the
I
roots,
kept it
dude.
real. I thought about getting fancy and doing the new stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let the OG get her time on the freaking platform.
Hell yeah.
And it worked out great. I got great reviews from it. The guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it. And I gotta be honest, I'm very conscious of the fact that no matter how many times you play a song, it's somebody's first time hearing it. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to play it like the first time. So I stayed on it the entire time, like full on, full passion, like I've never done this lecture before.
What was it that you taught this year?
This year I did the Mayday Mindset, the original version of it. You know, very data heavy. I did an hour and I did 90 minutes. It was awesome. They gave me 3 rules for my first year. Right after lunch, first slot with Candace and Tom and Chief Thompson and Corley all talking at the same time. So Corley came up to me and saw me right before he went to his room. He came to see me in mine. And I was just setting up and he walked in. He's like, "Hey, brother, I want to give you a hug, Macho. You're going to kill it." And I'm like, "Where are you going?" He goes, "I'm going to go do my class." I'm like,
Like,
"What? You got class now?" I'm like, "I'm up against you after lunch?" And it was a great time. The room did fill. It was awesome, man. Uh, the class went well. The lecture went well. I wouldn't change a thing, Goldie. I wouldn't change a damn thing. It was awesome. And
I love it.
once it was done, man, it was like it was amazing because I finished hot. I finished that. I got to sit through a bunch of my buddies' classes. I got to talk to a bunch of people. I went to as many events as possible. And you know how it is, man. It's just hard to get everywhere. There's so many
Yeah.
things happening every day. And
Yeah.
y'all, your buddies are talking at the same time. So I was popping in and out of rooms like, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a time just to show face and give them a big thumbs up. I tell them I love them.
That's so cool. Now, you also said you did the hot. So what did you teach for hot?
So hot. I ended up jumping in with a group of instructors. So I wasn't going to do hot. I wasn't even a thing. And I got asked by a group of instructors to do a hot, a group of guys and girls from Aaron Heller's company, on scene training. Osta, and I got on with them. Did a bunch of training with them. We did Jenny Grima and Matt Paglione and Gay and Rosario and Richie Stack from Chicago. They put a great class together, and they got to do victim search, uh, ground ladder stuff. They got to do firefighter rescue stuff. I was running the firefighter rescue portion. Richie Stack from Chicago, Paglione for 27 truck the Bronx was doing his thing with the ladders. It was a great cadre. Jenny was doing her thing with victim drags and rescues. It was a great class with a great group of instructors. We're still communicating on our FDIC chat every single day, like we're still teaching together.
That's
It's a
great.
home run.
That is awesome. What an experience just to do all of that. Like you said, from 5 years of trying and not giving up and like you said, like you got to be like, why, and what am I missing? What is it that I'm not getting? What are they not getting? And like you said, there's probably others that have tried for 6 years straight, 7 years straight, and I know by the time we drop this, the windows have already closed for the FDIC, but that they're right now they have the windows open and everyone's getting it in, and there's going to be an influx of posts of the no thank yous once they make their decisions. And that's again, that's where you learn how to be humble and really take the no thank yous and the rejections. You can't let them for you, like it shows, you didn't let it get you down. You kept striving, and it's great to see people accomplish their goals and keep hitting it hard. And you didn't stop with your mission. You believed in it, and you believe in yourself. And like, and it's not selfish to have those goals. Like, I want to be at FDIC. Like, I think sometimes we feel that way. Like, well, it's not about me, but honestly, it is, and that's okay, because you have an important message that you want to bring to others, and you know that you're going to be able to do it at a conference that's got 40,000 people. So hopefully 300 people are going to get us in that room all together at once and hear that message and get something out of it. It's impressive.
But it's tough. It's tough because it's if you look at the whole product and your body of work, and you look at the people that trained you and the guys that mentored you and the things that you learned, and the message that you're spreading is a message of so many human beings put together, right? And the time and effort you've been away from the family and the sacrifices that we do to do this teaching gig at a high level. Um, you put a piece of paper together, you turn it in, and you hope that they find it worthy of their approval. And then it does it, and then you wait a year and it doesn't, and you wait a year and it doesn't, and you wait a year and it doesn't. It's tough, man. It's tough, and the only reason I kept putting in, and I'll be very honest, it wasn't for a pat on the back. It was for all those people that invested in me for all those years, and the guys and girls that believed in me, and the people that told me to keep putting in. But it wasn't just Rob being super cool and super freaking resilient. It wasn't. It really
How do you
wasn't for everybody else.
How do you deal with rejection? How do you deal with even with if you ever had anybody just tell you you're not worthy of doing this? Like, who are you to teach? Who are you to say that you are a subject matter? I'm not saying you label yourself, but subject matter expert in firefighter survival, and doing quotations for everybody who's listening. But there's a lot of rejections in the world. There's also a lot of naysayers in the world, and for people that crap on others for trying to bring their teachings and what they have in life. Have you ever encountered people saying, "What makes you think that you can do that?"
Honestly, man, part of me is a traditionalist, right? And what do I mean by that? I I came up and I didn't get any doors open for me because of the patch of my organization or the size of my department, right? I've had to force every door that has been open for me. No one held the door open for me. It wasn't like I had an FDNY passion, like, oh, he must know what he's doing, so let him in the door to see what he's got to teach, right? Guys like us have to really master the craft, master the articulation of the expertise, like, be able to translate it to audiences to make sure that the data support what we're doing. And it's not about me; it's about the information I'm giving. What my goal has always been to take the focus off of me, put the focus on the skill that I'm teaching and the information that supports teaching that skill and doing it that way, whether it's UL studies, NIST studies, and the list goes on and on and on. Um, how do I deal with it? I'm human, dude. I deal with it like everybody else. It fucking sucks.
Mhm.
It fucking hurts, right? Especially if it comes from people that you look up to.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me, thankfully, only once or twice. Whereas people that I looked up to, from afar, that question my validity. But the way that my defense mechanism for that is that I understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. A, I enjoy it. B, I'm passionate about it. And lastly, I'm not doing it because I want to be fire famous. I don't want to be a social media guy who's everybody knows. I can care less about that. I do it because I really care about the message. I love being around firemen. And if I get to be around firemen that like the job as much as I do, and they're just as passionate as I am, and the stuff that I say matters to them because I really am putting a lot of time and effort into this information. I'm not just rolling on a bed on a freaking Friday and jumping on a plane and going to teach at a conference. I'm putting hundreds of hours into every word that I say. It takes years of busting your ass to make you worthy of a 10-minute presentation,
Yes, sir.
right? So I know that I put in the years, I know that I put in the time. And if someone doesn't find my message something they want to listen to, that's cool, dude. Change the station, change the channel, right? But somebody somewhere is going to benefit from it. And there isn't honestly anybody out there that can convince me that if I fail, that's my forever state. I'm going to fail fast and I'm going to fail forward. And I have to believe in that. And sometimes failing fast is not an option, i.e. FDIC.
Yeah.
You fail and then you got to wait a year. And you fail, you got to wait a year. So it's not fail fast. You got to fail fast, put it behind you, and go. You got to be like that diva wide receiver who's always open, even though he's triple covered. Like, dude, throw me the ball. Throw me the ball. I'm wide ass open. No, you're not, dude. You're triple covered. But you got to be that guy. Or you have to be like the guy that walks into the casino every week with his last proverbial dollar and believes that that's the day he's going to hit. He doesn't hit. He walks out. And the next day he walks in like he's ready to go.
Dude, I
Honestly,
love it.
man, your support group is awesome. You're going to get it. You're going to get the guys and the naysayers that say you don't belong here, there, or the other. I mean, I get it, dude. I'm not trying to be Michael Jordan. You can't become Michael Jordan overnight. Neither could Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It took years. It took
Yeah.
years. I'm okay
Absolutely.
with it. I'm here for the
Yeah.
work.
I just love it, dude. Just your mentality, your attitude, your no quit, man. That's why I'm honestly drawn to you, and I love hearing your message. And it's real life, and again, it's how you lift yourself back up. You can get down, stay in the dirt, and just say, "Well, I'm no good. They obviously don't like me for whatever reasons." It's conspiracy theory, and just never try, or keep taking that dust, brush off your shoulders, and go back to it. And I love that you never gave up, because I watched you, like every year, like, another no thank you, another no thank you, another no thank you, and like I'm like, holy shit, how is Rob Ramirez, Mr. Mayday Mindset, Mr. If you can't truck, you can't writ, and he's getting these no's? Because when I met you, man, my mind was blown, honestly. Like the stuff that you taught, man, that's been what, 3 years ago since I think we met at Dadgum. It was so impressive to me, because I didn't have this information for where I was, and learning all this stuff it was mind blowing to me. And I came back home with just all of this stuff. I had my notebook filled. Me and Brian Rondu or Larry were comparing notes in our hotel room. Like, hey, did you get this? Did you get that? And like, yeah, I got all that. Did you get what Rob just said? Like, it was the way you gave it, the way you broke it down, and then years watching you progress. And I'm still like, how is this not possible? But it just shows that just because you're teaching all over the place doesn't mean it's an automatic yes, right? Because
Absolutely not, man.
I think that's what people forget. It's a competitive world. There are so many people who are just as good or even better, who've been doing it
100%.
longer, right? And just you're competing with the best of the best, and then that you have to, I think, when people get down on themselves, that's what you got to remember. Like, you're not competing against just some no names people. You're competing with the people that have been doing this for years. And man, they have educated themselves for so long and have played the game for so long. And here they are. And you now had to put your name next to that.
Yep. Man, I'm telling you, it's exactly what it is. Like, you have to understand that the competition is freaking stiff. And it doesn't matter what you're doing outside of there. You can out. Dude, I'm not kidding. And again, they can look it up. I was teaching freaking damn near 20 conferences a year, way too much, and I still had a regular full time job and a family, right? And every flyer that I was on teaching was a blessing, and everybody on that flyer was a repeat freaking instructor at FDIC. Except for me. And you got to just take it on the chin. And if they never, ever, ever call you, it's okay. Your value to the fire service is not dictated by whether or not you go FDIC or not. Like, that's not the reason you started teaching to go to FDIC. You started teaching because you want to make sure that you can impact the fire service in a way that really helps people in the future. And whether it's local or national or international, that doesn't matter, dude. Like, to me, I was already at the point where I was like, man, listen, I'm winning. I never thought I was going to teach outside freaking Miami. And just the fact that I was going to conferences in Florida was blowing my mind. And the fact that I was on podcasts is blowing my mind, because I'm literally just teaching and talking about the shit that I love to talk about. I've got people that I look up to for years, like Jim Crawford, like the Mac Daddy OG GOAT of RIT. Hey Rob, this is your game. This is what you're doing. You're doing a great job. And Jim McCormick, like all these guys, Jim, like these guys are reaching out, like, hey, let's do something together. That means more to me than any conference in the world. Any conference in the world, because those are the guys that I looked up to for years, and they're validating what I'm putting out there, right? And guys like
100%.
you and I have had this conversation. We
Mhm.
don't need validation from everybody, because what you're doing right now is validated by the people that are sitting here and listening, dude. Like, your information, the vessel that you've created for the fire service, it's priceless. We don't need everyone to be okay with it. You just need the right people in your place. The majority of the fire service knows that you belong where you're at. And just like an election, the majority wins. It's not unanimous. It doesn't have to be unanimous. And you're doing it for the right reasons, bro. And I'm proud of you. And I believe in my heart And those that know me, that really know me, my friends, my inner circle, know that I'm doing it for the right reason as well. I don't give a shit about fire fame.
I love it, dude. You freaking nailed it, man. And I think more people need to hear that, that we're doing it for the right reasons. That's what they're going to see too. Like at FDIC or whatever other conferences you go to apply to, if you're doing it for the right reasons and you show that you actually give a shit and you're giving a positive message and you're not constantly crapping all over everybody else, because that gets back to other people too, right? It is how you present yourself outside of this as well. If you're constantly crapping all over people and you have a shitty attitude, then they're gonna be like, well, yeah, I hear bad shit about Mike and I don't want him here because bad shit follows him and I'm all set with it. And that you have to be a good person. You have to deliver a good quality message. It's the same thing too. Like I talk about Jay Fulmer from AOTC. Like he believes in getting in your gear and working with these students. And if you don't do that, then they're gonna be like that's again gonna follow you. Well, Rob Ramirez, yeah, he teaches it, but all he does is he teaches it in shorts and tennis shoes while we're working our asses off. Right? What what clout is that? Like, well, Rob's just taking it easy and he gets mad at us because we can't do it. Well, he doesn't jump in and show us because he's not wearing gear. It all carries, that message all carries is how you present yourself. Are you getting in gear and working with those students, or are you just standing there pointing and screaming? So
I just had that conversation today with one of my captains. It's been a pet peeve of mine, but since I was a captain, a company officer, that gear thing you mentioned, and I don't want to go off on that, but if I'm outside and I'm the company officer with a junior guy, with anybody in the company, and we are in gear and we are training and learning and talking and breaking down a skill in gear, you are not allowed to. I very rarely use the words you are not allowed to, but I will use them right now. You are not
yeah.
allowed to walk out of the firehouse and come jump into our conversation and offer your critique from the freaking bleacher seats.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to. So I will never be that guy not in gear teaching. If we're in gear and you want to give us some information and some freaking enlighten us with some wisdom, Mr. Senior Man, go put your gear on just to walk over here and talk to us. And you can take it right back off and go back to the couch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everyone needs that buy-in. That is a huge pet peeve of mine. Is when I was in the call side of things, when I was on my previous department, I called him Captain Pointer and Captain Finger because all he did was just stand around and point, and that's all he would do. And he wouldn't be in his gear, and we'd be training, and I'd never see him really working that hard, and it drove me crazy when people weren't getting in their gear and getting dirty with us. And how am I going to believe that you can do this if you're telling me to do this and I can't do it? I want to see you do it. And then I'll believe you, and then I'll work hard. But if you're saying I can do it and you don't do it, then I'm not going to believe in you. I'm not going to believe in this training. I'm going to say this is all BS and I'm going to walk away.
I can't teach you to swim if I don't get in the pool with you, brother. We both got to be wet.
100%. So we talked about Dagon. We talked about training, and honestly, we were talking about this earlier. We talked about even training scars when we met, and one of the big things was using props. And the biggest one that was us that you and I talked about, and it blew my mind as well, was the wire maze. And I loved how you presented that. And again, just how you were able to work through it with us, showed us different ways to do it. But you hit on the fact that I don't want you to automatically crawl into a hazard. And can you explain that more about the wire maze prop?
Yeah, that's a good thing to bring up. Honestly, it's something that reminds me of the stuff we talked about before with the cutters on our last podcast together, right? When it comes specifically to the entanglement prop, it's a '90s training scar. So in the '90s, very well-intentioned people that I look up to actually, start building those linear training boxes, and some have lids, some don't have lids, some have narrow walls, some have more wider walls. They use some type of electrical wire or conduit or Christmas lights or whatnot, anything they can find to create speaker wire, any form of wire that was cheap, easily replaceable, and you can either harvest from an acquired structure or go buy a roll of 1,000 feet over at your local hardware store, right? And they created these props, and then we came up with these great techniques. Get your cylinder down to where the wall meets the ground, and make sure you keep your helmet down, and use your bottom hand to sweep and your top hand to swim, and repeat that motion over and over and over again until you get out of the prop on the other side, and then you get a home run and a high five. The whole time you're in there, you're getting overcoached and talked to, especially if you're a new user and it's a new skill. The problem with that is that you start creating this normalization. There's normalization that really is going to lead to failure if you don't change it. That normalization is that no one ever prefixes that drill, ever, 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 with the fact that we should never be in that position without calling a mayday, A and B, avoiding it as much as possible. So when we do our classes, we talk about the fact that the entire fire service is running around with wire cutters, and I'm pretty damn sure you haven't met one freaking electrician that's running around with a Halligan, right? When you look at the data sets and all the information we have available, yeah, firefighters are still getting entangled today, but the numbers aren't based on wires. They're based on household goods, curtains, drapes, carpets, windows, hangers, shit like that. HVAC, freaking high tensile steel once the freaking foil burns off. That's the stuff that we're getting jammed up on. It's not speaker wire or Christmas lights, right? In addition to that, you're looking at these linear boxes that go probably about the length of a sheet of plywood, about 8 feet, and they're usually about 4 feet wide unless they get cut down. And at the end of it, you get a high five with Cold Town or Gatorade, and you're told you're the best company in the city, right? If you follow directions. Or they make it so damn near impossible that you can't get through it. What they never teach these guys and girls is the fact that you should freaking avoid it at all costs. Avoid it, avoid it, avoid it. So we went back to very, very simple because we understand that the harder the freaking skill gets and the more stress that we have, our working memory really decreases. The working memory that's available to you under stress decreases, and you default not to your highest level of training, you default to what has become routine. And if the routine for you in that box each and every fucking time is to freaking swim and put your bottle to where the wall meets the ground, right? That's exactly where you're going to default to. So we try to break that trap and make sure that we understand when we teach our people that the first thing we do is keep it super simple, stupid, right? A, B, C when it comes to entanglements. A, you're crawling down the hallway or you're stretching a line and you come across some form of entanglement. A stands for avoid. Avoid it. Once you identify it, you avoid it. You turn around and you say, "Hey, boss, we're not going that way. We're avoiding it." At no point are you fucking saying we have to swim through this shit, right? The next thing, if that doesn't work, now you're crawling down the same hallway. You weren't able to identify it, therefore you couldn't avoid it, and now you're in the shit. If you're in the wire and in the entanglement, you're no longer in A, now you're at B. So what does B stand for? Easy, back up. Okay, keep it simple, stupid. For those of you guys listening with your complex prefrontal cortex modern brain right now, you might be thinking Rob is oversimplifying this. But I'm not talking to your prefrontal cortex modern brain right now. I'm talking to your Mayday brain, which is only capable of small spurts of little information and really, really, really simple skills. So B, back up. Once you back up, you go ahead and you default back to A, avoid. And you find another way to go around or stretch the line. Now let's rewind again, start the same scenario over again. Here you are crawling on the hallway, stretching a line, whatever the case may be. You fail to identify, now you're in it, and now you go start at B because you can no longer avoid it. You go back up and now you're jammed up. At that point, you're at C. You're cutting. Okay, C stands for cut. And how you cut, that has a whole drop down screen of information itself. You're going to stop. You're not going to panic. You're not going to kick. You're not going to scream because you're going to make the entanglement worse. Okay, you're going to try to slowly back up, feel where you're caught, and address that. How you're going to address it is a pair of cutters that we talked about the episode before. The actual one hand assisted linear long cutting area, long cutting surface area, and something you can reach in your action area from your regulator down to your belt buckle and shoulder to shoulder. That's where you got to keep it. You're going to access that, identify the location, cut it, and slowly back up again. If you get caught up again, take tension off of it, find where you're caught, back up again, identify the tension, and make the cut again. And then, if you're able to, you're going to go back to B and back out. And then once you back out, you're going to go back to A. At no point do you ever just go to D, which is do it. We don't just do it. And the reason we don't do it, guys, is because there is no guarantee. This is where the training scar lies. That this entire entanglement of wires and household goods is going to end in 8 or 9 or 6 or 10 linear feet. That can go on for 2 lefts, 2 rights, and 35 more feet. And in that environment, your SCBA cylinder is not going to survive the journey.
Hmm.
And if that doesn't survive the journey, you do not survive the journey. So at no point do we willingly swim our way through an entanglement prop. The reason that we teach that is because if all else fails and you're able to identify whether it's visually, thermal imager, or a flashlight, the end of this raft of wires is 5 feet ahead and to the right, then you can go ahead, cut your way to it and make that right and seek refuge to create distance and isolation from the incident. But if you cannot do that because of lack of visibility, fire conditions, or whatnot, you don't ever, ever, ever willingly commit yourself to that life ending condition or environment. It's not something we should ever teach our people. And we've gotten too comfortable doing that in fire training.
Yeah.
Good intentions, bad results.
I love that also, man. First off, fantastic. Thank you. This is the stuff that I tell people when I meet them and we do trainings. Like the shit that I learn is from meeting people like you and doing these trainings, and I bring it back home. And it's so important. And you break it down in the most simplest of ways. One of the things that you hit on that I really love very much is that you said overcoached. When you're in that box and you're struggling and you're freaking out and everyone's yelling at you, and you've got not just instructors, but you also have the students as well. And everyone's trying to coach you along. It's overwhelming as hell. And that is like you talk about, again, your Mayday cortex. Like that is like you're not even in a Mayday state right now, but yet your brain is just screaming at you because you're trying to make sense of this crap that you're all caught up in, and everyone's telling you how to do it. For me, because I get pissed. Like if I'm doing something, I'm struggling with it, and I've got 5 different people, I'll stop and I'll say, wait a minute, who's teaching me here? Is it you or is it you? And usually that's when they get pissed. I don't make a lot of friends when I do that, but I'm just trying to understand, like, let people know, hey, I'm overwhelmed right now. I need somebody, just one person to tell me how to do this, because man, it can just like, you get just all that noise and all that information is you're not listening anymore.
Absolutely. You can't make training first. Let's go back to overcoaching first. Let's start with that, right? When it comes to firefighter RIT and rescue training, it's not like teaching ladders or engine work, right? We just don't have the data to support it. What do I mean by that? Right? If we're looking at the data and the studies, we're looking at 350 to 400,000 residential structure fires per year. That number hasn't changed since 1977. You look at the information we have available. If you're looking at, let's call it 350,000 structure fires per year, residential. We can probably guess that each one of those fires have one line stretch. That's 350,000 data points or skills development potential examples that tell you, hey, this is the best way to design a hose line. This is what it should be made of. This is the best operating hose line. This is the one that causes the less kinks. This is the best stretch. This is the best nozzle. This creates the best flow. We have the information available. And those 350,000 residential structure fires, there's probably, let's say, 250,000 ground ladders thrown. So you can talk about throwing ladders. You can talk about positioning your truck. You can talk about making the roof. You can talk about stretching, getting the ladder onto the roof, the aerial apparatus, the tower ladder. There's so much information available. When it comes to RIT, you have 350,000 residential structure fires. You may get 6 to 12 opportunities for RIT to deploy nationwide, right? And out of those 6 to 12, maybe half of those get an actual RIT team involvement to where it gets documented. So you're looking
Mm.
at 3 to 6 potential data points that we can use for skill development and training. It's not enough. We have a giant experience issue when it comes to firefighter rescue nationwide. It's not something we're really good at. So what can we default to? We have to default to what we know to be the constants, the human behavior under stress, how our biology fails, how our environment fails, how our equipment fails, how our people fail, because we have the information available. Why did I say all these freaking words? Just tell you the following. If when you're teaching this, you overcoach somebody, you're going to make it way too easy. And if when you're teaching it, you overcoach somebody, you're going to fail to hit that sweet spot. That sweet spot's got to be right at the edge of their current ability, right? But you have to be a really good instructor because you have to identify when they need it and stop when they don't in order for them to learn, right? Because under stress, you're going to go ahead and you're going to freeze when you think too much and you're going to panic when you think too little. The target is somewhere in between. I like to tell my instructors when we're teaching and getting ready for a class, like you have to understand when you got to pull that cookie out. Because if you leave it in the oven too long, it's going to burn. And it no longer learns. If it does survive the drill and or the skill, it just survived it and it built resiliency. It didn't acquire a new skill. The brain is a horrible multitasker under stress. It can
Yeah.
either survive or it can learn. It can't do both at the same time. If it survives it, it will learn something. It'll learn and never wants to fucking do it again.
Yeah.
Right? And those are the
Yeah.
guys and girls that bang out on training days, don't come to work, or have magical mask and equipment failures right before a fire. All right, those are training scars as well. So if you follow the cookie crumbs back to these behaviors, you'll see that there's an instructor somewhere along the way that ruined it for them. Because it usually isn't at an incident, it's usually on the training ground.
Man, freaking, I love it. You're absolutely right. And it just makes reminiscent of just like trainings I've had to endure in earlier in my career. And it's absolutely 100% correct. And like you said, overcoaching, I'm glad that you actually explained it that way, because you're right. Like we tell them how to move every inch through those obstacles. Every inch we tell them, okay, now roll left, now roll right. You have a wire in front of you, swim, put that arm in front of that wire. And like, you just literally did it for them just by speaking and telling them how to walk them through it. Yeah.
You did it for them, Mike. You did it for them.
Yeah.
The whole drill, you did it. They got out of it. You gave a high five. You told them they were awesome because they followed your instructions. I'm sorry. Right. But the day of their incident, when they're in that Mayday brain, right, and they're full freaking primal thinking, and you've overcoached them, and all of a sudden your freaking heavenly voice is not there to get them out of it. Instead, they have to remember to say lunar on the radio, right? There's a system that's designed to fail. So we have to make sure that they capture and learn every single step of the way. They don't get overcoached. They don't get undercoached. And we look for that sweet spot. Every drill that you design for your company as an instructor or the training officer must have the potential for failure, but the probability for success. Okay? Again, must have the potential for failure and the probability for success. If you don't, it's going to get too easy or damn near too freaking hard. I'm not trying to fail people. Think about video games when you were a kid. If you bought a brand new video game, took it out of the wrapper, threw it in the freaking in the Nintendo, whatever the PlayStation or whatever these kids were playing back in the days, not anymore, obviously. If you smoked that game 30 levels the first time you played it, that game ended up in a drawer somewhere or at your buddy's house. You don't want to play it again, right? But on the same note, if it was too damn hard and we played it for 8 months straight and you couldn't get out of the third level, no matter all the tricks you tried, it ended up in the same damn drawer. But it was that one game that you can get through the levels, and right at the end when you were about to freaking go to the next level, you failed, almost passed it, failed, and then got it. And every single time it took you to the brim of your ability, right to the brink of it. And then you failed, and then you passed it. And then you failed, and you passed it. And it kept you on the hook. And that's the secret to training.
Metroid. That was it for me. That was a different. If you could beat the level, like the master level of Metroid, that was bragging rights right there.
That's it,
and that's what you're talking about. That's like if you can do that without having to use cheat codes, because that's what the overcoaching is you're literally having those cheat codes.
Yeah. Don't make it too hard. Don't make it too easy. Keep it complex, but make sure that they understand that there's a probability that they're going to fucking pass, but there's also a possibility for failure.
And another thing you talked about, you showed me was, it's funny that you actually, it's something I always thought, like, why aren't we doing it? And then when you showed it to me, like, thank you for showing it, was moving your pack over onto your stomach. And that was, it was funny. It was mind blowing, but it wasn't for me. It was just the fact that we're always taught to throw our pack into the crevice of the wall, but no one's ever taught, like, to, turn your pack onto your side and cradle it. And you hit it because you're not always going to have a wall to put your back up next to. So can you elaborate on that real quick?
And yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So one of the things that we pride ourselves when we teach is, like, we try to keep up with the modern trends and actions and behaviors of the fire service and what the world looks like around us, whether you're in Oklahoma, California, or Miami. And the modern fire service environment is the following. Unless you're working in one of the boroughs in New York City in the 1980s or in the projects, you're probably not dealing with cookie cutter boxes anymore, cookie cutter box construction anymore, and narrow hallways. Once you get out of these multiple dwellings and you get into the 90% of the United States Fire Service is dealing with bigger and more open spaces, whether it's residential or commercial. Nobody's buying or building homes anymore with those tiny little 10 by 10 bedroom and a little tiny bathroom box and a little tiny kitchen box and a little tiny living room box and a little tiny doorway. No, everybody and their mother is doing the same thing. Whether you're building a brand new house or Mrs. Smith is remodeling her house, she wants to flip pancakes on the freaking 10-foot kitchen island while she's watching the TV across the freaking room in the living room over the chimney, 30 feet away.
Hmm.
And what she's lacking between her island and that TV over the chimney is walls, right?
Yeah.
So if you follow fire service trends and whatnot, there's a reason why targeted searches, VES beyond the door, and the list goes on and on and on, window initiated searches. It became a thing. It wasn't just that the fire service got more aggressive and more educated. It's because the times and the era of right and left hand search patterns via the alpha or the one side don't yield the same results that it used to.
Mm-hmm.
Victims are still in the same place, right? They're either in the passive egress or they're in their rooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only way we're going to find these rooms these days is by targeting the rooms, because as walls go away, pattern searches that require right and left hand contact with the walls no longer yield the same results, and you're missing 50% of the structure, right? Because
Yes,
you
sir.
have a wall that wraps around an entire open floor plan. So why is that important when it comes to firefighter rescue and self-rescue? Because if all we ever teach our people is, hey, if you're ever entangled and you can't avoid, B, back up, or C, cut, what you got to do is turn your ball to where the wall and the floor be, and then you can swim your way out of it like Michael Phelps. Well, what happens if I'm face down and all of a sudden I couldn't A, I couldn't B, I start to C? You're always able to start to C, because if you're a good student of the fire service, you have the right cutter in the right area. And now you're working your way through a cut, and I'm like, all right, cool, let me back up. And I feel a wall to my right. I reach out to my left. I find nothing on the left. I reach on my foot. I reach on my left foot, reach on my right foot. And it doesn't matter how far I reach. I'm doing jumping jacks on the ground right now, face down. And I can't find a freaking wall. If you can't find the wall, now you have to default to position arranging and removing. And that's very simple. From that position there, while still on air, you're going to loosen your belt buckle, continue cutting and addressing the wires, and slide your cylinder and your air pack underneath your right arm. Why the right arm? Because that's the side the regulator is going to not pull from, right? So we're going to go ahead and drop it over our right arm. We're going to go ahead and keep it in that position. I'm going to go ahead and hold it in that space. Actually, left arm, I'm sorry. We're going to hold it on our left arm. I'm in German mode. The last time I did this was in
I was
Germany.
gonna say,
And guess where the
I knew what you were
regulator
saying.
goes? The regulator goes on the right side because they're freaking European. So anyways, so you're going to go ahead and take that off. You're going to go ahead and put it on the regulator side to prevent mass break, the seal break or mass pull. And you're going to cup that like a baby. And anybody that wants video or any type of pictures of it, reach out to me and I can send it to you, or I'll send it to Goldie and he'll send it to you, right? And you're going to make sure that you protect the top of that cylinder, the bottom of that cylinder by sitting it on your lap, hand over the head of the cylinder, keep it underneath you, and now you can negotiate your way back or forward through that obstacle where all the wires wash off of you, and everything we're worried about getting caught on, which is the reason why we put that cylinder to where the wall meets the ground, is no longer an issue, because all that wire and all those entanglements and household products and hangers and HVAC ductwork, all that stuff is going to wash right off your back. The only thing you have to worry about is the actual crown of your helmet at the top of your shield.
Or
That's
Borks.
easily addressed with a sweep of your helmet and by keeping your regulator down to the ground as you back up. It's
Yeah,
something that we've practiced hundreds of times and it works every time.
the one with but the people still have their Borks on, man. Those wires, those get stuck really, really good. And I have a picture from the training I did in my neck of the woods, and a couple of students that had their Borks, the wire got right in the middle there, and they're just like bucket Broncos trying to get it off.
Dude, let me tell you something. Every time that we do this class, and we do hundreds of students per year, every time we do this class, we always have that guy or girl that has door chocks and ammunition and radios and freaking all types of things hanging off their helmets. And by the time the class is done, their helmet is stripped naked. And they're like, dude, I never experienced that before. Yeah, because you don't need all that shit on your helmet. It's there to prevent shit from hitting your head, not to carry an entire Home Depot aisle on your helmet.
You're so true. I mean, it's really, it's honest. It's true. As you start progressing and you start doing these things, especially when you go to a lot of these trainings, you're going to see what works on your gear and what doesn't. And, you know, and I have a great discussion with students. Like, I see all the stuff in their pockets. I go, you know, once we do these bailouts out of this window, you're going to yard sale half of your shit out of your pocket, or you're going to get stuck in a rung because you got everything clipped on there. And then sure as shit, whoop, and I'm picking up all their tools and like, what are you doing with this? What are you doing with that? I don't know. I just have it. So those are especially on the helmet. I see everyone with the lights and the chocks. I'm like, does that light even work? I don't know. I've never really turned it on.
It looks cool, dude.
It looks
It's
cool. Yeah.
provocative.
Yeah. Because, you know, I mean, we obviously people see things, they go, man, that guy looks salty as fuck. I want to do that. I want to look
Yeah.
like that. And so, but when you go to these trainings, that's why I've scaled down a lot of stuff that I've had on my gear. When I was at Dadgum that year and I was doing a bailout and sliding down, I had a clip on my right where that lapel for your radio is, and it got stuck right on the rung, and I was like hanging there, and it ripped. And valuable lesson learned. Like, I'm never going to wear that ever again like that. So that's what we do these trainings, is to learn this in new ways and skills. And I love the fact that you showed that method to me, even though it seems so simple. And I always thought about that. Why aren't we taking our pack and just tucking it underneath us so we don't have that entanglement? And then you did it. And I was like, man, this guy gets it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I took a page out of confined space training. I'm a big confined space technical rescue guy. That's my background, and we keep ourselves very linear, very streamlined. And there's a reason why we do that, because you don't want to get entangled in shit where you're in a freaking 20-inch, 24-inch pipe. And the same thing applies in that world. If you don't understand the possibilities of these things happening, you don't know what to avoid. And for the guys and girls that have a bunch of shit hanging off their equipment, man, you want to travel light, and you want to travel lean, and you want to travel fast.
Yeah.
And it also decreases fatigue. It increases your time on task. And so, you just don't know what's going to work and what doesn't unless you're out there on the fireground testing it. And that's when you want it to fail.
Yes, sir.
You want it to fail there. You don't want it to fail on the fire scene. I've seen, like you said earlier, I've seen guys with really salty, like old school firemen, freaking flashlights melted, no lens on there. And I've seen it get caught on shit and ripped out of their helmet, and watch them struggle through freaking some type of drill over and over and over again. And afterwards, they're like, yeah, man, I'm never going to wear that again.
Mhm.
And good. But they needed to go through that to get rid of that bias and understand that what we don't need, you got to get rid of. You don't need to
Yeah.
have that on. There's a big ass fire truck out there. There's a giant toolbox right in the front yard of that building.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that, Rob. That is great information. Lot of good stuff that we covered for this conversation. I always love talking to you, my friend. And where can people find you? You're going to be going to any trainings in the near future that anyone can sign up for and hopefully catch you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. I don't have a Mayday Mindset handle. I have a regular Rob Ramirez handle. You can reach out to that one. Facebook as well. I'm always available. I'm always answering questions. Next stop is going to be, what are we doing? We're doing firemanship in Chicago with Cody Trust Trail Brothers in Battle. Then August, we're in Pittsburgh. And then September, we're in New York. And after New York, we're going to Alabama with Todd Edwards. And then we're going to Mississippi. October, Fort Lauderdale, we're all over the place, man. You just check us out at any
Well, you're
conference.
going to be doing Old
any
Fools, right?
conversation. Yeah.
Hell
We're gonna be
yeah.
out there in the foods. So it's gonna be a good time, man. It's gonna be a good time. The rest of the year is pretty slam. I haven't been doing it as much. The guys have, I haven't. We'll also be in North Carolina for Carolina Days in November. So we'll be on and we'll be about. If you see us, come say hi. We love to talk shop. If I'm not there, the guys will be there. This new fire department gig is keeping me close to home more than usual. But I look forward to getting on the road and seeing and meeting new people, man. I
Love it.
appreciate you having me on, bro. You're the best.
Man, I love you, dude. Absolutely. And seriously, if you do see Robin in these trainings, he is very approachable. He loves talking shop. He loves and if even it's not talking about shop, dude, like just a kid from Miami, just wants to meet good people and talk about a lot of cool shit. And his whole crew is very approachable. They're like Timmy Gleason and like I love Tim.
Scary.
Man.
Timmy Gleason's scary looking, but he's a good dude.
He's a great dude. He's just a punk rocker, man. That's all he is,
Johnson
man.
And Pablo and Josie and Hunter Benke. These are all good dudes, man.
All solid guys. I love them very much. And please tell them I say hello, because man, it was a pleasure getting to hang out with all you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys again. Rob, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you very much.
Dude, I appreciate you as well. Thanks for having me on. I haven't done a podcast in a while, and this was a great way to freaking get my mind off of freaking chief work. I totally appreciate you more than you know. I needed this more than you know. Absolute man, dude. Everybody listening, give Goldie a follow, man. He's putting out great content. Support each other. Support the fire service. Support your local conference. We're the only ones that are going to make this freaking train keep moving. And I love each and every one of you, man.
Love it, dude. So with that being said, y'all take care, stay safe, and
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Awesome.
Let's go.